Welcome to the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. I'm Sue Carrick, and I'm passionate about inspiring, motivating, supporting and informing women over 50 to embrace this exciting time of life. Health and wellness in mind, body and spirit are the foundations for living well, but there is so much more to a life well lived. Each week, through conversations with my guests, I'll be presenting topics that will help us all to live well and enjoy life. So join me as we discover new ways to become women living well after 50. Are you ready to start living? What are you waiting for? Let's get started. Welcome to another episode of the Women Living Well After 50 podcast. I'm Sue Carrick, and it's wonderful to have you join me. Now, are you slowing down or are you just getting started? How are your finances looking? Are you getting a return on life as well as on your investment? These are the things we're going to be talking about today with my guest, Debra L. Morrison. Debra embodies what it means to live well and enjoy life after 50. After a 45-year career as a certified financial planner, she sold her successful practice to launch an inspiring movement helping women create what she calls a return on life. Through We Can Do It Women, Debra is showing women over 60 how to embrace every aspect of well-being, from financial wellness to travel adventures and finding their personal style. Her message about squeezing every drop of joy from each day, I'm sure, will resonate with us all. Debra believes that our later years can be our most beautiful and fulfilling, and I agree. So let's go and join the conversation. Welcome, Debra. It's so lovely to have you join me on the Women Living Well After 50 podcast.
Thank you so much, Sue. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you today because I've been having a look at your website and some of the talks that you've done, and you are just a bundle of energy and joy and, you know, how we all want to be living our life in our 50s, 60s, 70s and beyond. So I'm looking forward to chatting with you today. Now, before we get started, I wondered if you could just give the listeners a little bit about your background and how you came to develop We Can Do It Women.
Well, thanks. I came literally, Sue, right out of college and pursued a career in finance, and personal finance was my want. I got my designation, certified financial planner, and my master's degree in retirement planning, and was a practicing certified financial planner for 42 years. And I had people's kids and then their grandkids as clients. That was just like amazing. And it was absolutely the work I came here to do, in so much as I was able to tease out of people what their goals and objectives were. You see, so many people that deal with money are just like talking about the Standard & Poor and, you know, what did you beat the EFI, you know, and just reducing this whole matter of money and finance to greenbacks. And of course, our lives are so intertwined with money as the tool that it is. Yet I define wealth, Sue, as comprised of 5 components. Wealth to me is physical, mental, relational, spiritual, and money and finance. Greenback. And I put that last because all we need is a negative diagnosis or a premature death to let us know that this doesn't cut it. So, right, I get it. It's a tool and it can help things go more smoothly. Yet, so I helped high net worth people make tens of millions more dollars. And yet what they did with those monies was so heart-centered. I wasn't just like, you know, attempting to make billionaires for no good reason. I attracted, I think, this quality of person, the couple, if you will, that was looking to make an impact. And society or circumstances have kind of tamped down their vision for the future, their dreaming. And I was like, hey, what do we want to do with this money? And so often it was met, Sue, with deer in the headlights, like, I don't know, we just like, do we have enough? You know, those are the $1 million questions. And so when I took people through these exercises of, hey, let's just do a mind dump, just just over the next couple of weeks, just write down anything that comes into your mind that you'd love to do. And they began
Mm.
to do that. And they began to travel in completely enhanced manners. And my requirement for them was that they send me postcards when they went to all these fun places. So I am dating myself with that postcard comment. But it was very exciting. And then they taught their kids and grandkids, the meaning of money. So many of them set up foundations, and then the kids and the grandkids were integrated in continuing the distributions to the charities of their choice. And I want to say how enriching of a life experience it was for me. Now, I sold my business in 2020. I did that for 42 years. And then since I've been coaching mature women, Sue, about up-leveling their money confidence, because at least in the United States of America, 60-plus-year-old women were socialized very poorly around money, very poorly,
Mm.
right?
Mm. Mm.
And so it's kind of, metaphorically speaking, I kind of like pop their head open, pull out that crap, right? Like, oh, don't worry your little head over that. Betty Bob will handle it. Great. If Bob doesn't die prematurely, or as I say, come home and trade you for 230s, right? So I was so eager to expand my reach from my 34 clients to literally thousands and tens of thousands of women, to give the message of empowerment. And so I come alive with women and talk about analogies and all kind of everyday language, so that women have a voice at the table. They do know conversation. They know some of the verbiage, and they can converse and ask questions. And so I actually own the trademark We Can Do It Women, and I had owned it for a number of years. And I thought, this shouldn't lie fallow any longer. And so I developed this We Can Do It Women movement. And I have a website, wecandoitwomen.com, and I have a Facebook group, We Can Do It Women 60 plus community. And it's filled with all over the world women who are eager to come out of the sidelines if they've been shuttled there and shuffled there, and into their own spotlight, so that they can live their
Mm.
best life in the next decade, 2 decades, three.
Mm. Yes, and it's I've interviewed, many women, and some of them have been through, divorce, or they've lost a partner, and as you say, they don't really know much about finances. I interviewed a guest a few months ago, and she actually made the decision to leave the marriage after 40 odd years or something. But she said, we had so many investments, I didn't have my head around what it is. So now I'm trying to learn how to manage the investments that have come from the split, and what it means, because I used to leave that to, we were in a traditional sort of relationship where her husband looked after all the finances, and it's been a big learning curve for her, because in her 60s she's now wanting to travel and do all those sort of things, but she's got to see where she is financially, and she didn't really have a clue.
Yes. That's so often the case, sadly. And so we're attempting to turn the tide, so that the women that are coming to us now and in the Facebook group and sharing with each other are being enlightened themselves. And then they're kind of, shifting that mindset down to their daughters, because it's so vital for us to have at least a concept, right, around our money. I'm not asking anybody to get in and manage their own money. I wouldn't, perform my own operation, even if I was a doctor, right? The fact is, we want to at least know the framework, Sue, in order that we know even the right questions to ask, right?
Mm, mm,
That's so
that's
much,
right.
it's such a big part of life, isn't it? Knowing what questions to ask.
And yeah, exactly. And it can be, even thinking about how much you need. We're all living longer, and do I have enough, or how can I grow what I do have to be able to have the life that I want to have? Because as you said, there's, the five components of wealth. Money is just one of those, but it is really a foundation if we want to be able to do things.
Sure.
And we do need to be I think we need to be aware of everything in our life, like actually in our household, I'm the one that looks after the money, but I think that if you're in a relationship, you need to both be aware of where you're at any given time, because anything can happen.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know, and also if your partner dies, or it can become very difficult if you don't know what's been going on. uh, you're trying to grieve the loss, but then you've got all these financial issues that you have to deal with that you just don't understand. So I think that the work you do is really great. Now, I want to talk about, we've talked that, the financial security things, but you do more than that, don't you? I mean, it's not just, you say that, let's squeeze every drop of joy from each day.
Right.
So yeah, so what do you let's talk a little bit about that, because we do need that financial security, and that's advice that you provide. But also, what else do you do with your We Can Do It Women? Because to me, it's more than just money, isn't it?
It is indeed, and we have fun is list my middle name. I don't do it if it's not fun, and so I love to have fun with women, and that gives them a little bit of a permission, right? To
Mm,
break out of that. I can't do this. I'm terrible at math. All these I can't statements, and imagine. See, one of the first tenets, Sue, is believing that our best years are in fact in front of us, right?
mm, mm,
That's the shift in our minds. And so believing that we can learn how to dance or paint or laugh more often, or start new hobbies and so forth, and then being grateful for where we are, right? And then imagining our future. So this is going to involve, in our case, I take women on retreats 2, 3 times a year. Have one coming up in the end of March, and when we gather together on these retreats, and we, yes, do excursions and so forth. The last one was in France, and we took in the ambiance and the food and the wine and all of that, which gives us this rich bonding experience with other women. And especially as we age, sometimes, so we either downsize, we move away from our 20, 30, 50-year-old friends. Somebody dies, we don't have those same friendships, and so loneliness is something that I want to completely eradicate within our group, so that we all end up with what I say, at least one 3 a.m. friend you can call, right? And so
mm,
we talk about things that are fun. We talk about women in the group that have reinvented themselves, corporate employees at age 65 sitting there saying, I want to be a filmmaker, and doing it, right? So
mm,
those kinds of stories spark the kind of imagination and the verve within the other women that are kind of thinking, oh, I actually thought about that. But I am absolutely inviting us to say yes. Say
mm,
yes to new things, because it's going to open up this whole new world. Whether you even follow through to the end of whatever that particular yes was is less important than us
mm,
not coming to something and say, nope, can't do that. Oh, tried that, didn't work, right? So let's leave that past behind, and let's stand firmly in our present and face radically forward and say, why not? Why
mm.
not me? Why not now?
Mm, mm. Yes, I'm a great proponent of if not now, when. And I think when you reach your 60s, well, I know for me that has been, and I'm 68 this year, so I've been in my 60s for a little while, and I think that has been the best decade, because I have been able to do things that I didn't think I would be able to, only because I went in with the attitude of, well, what's the worst that can happen? Even starting the podcast, I had people saying to me, well, who wants to listen to you? And I thought, well, I've got an idea. I want to go with it and see how it goes. Well, 4 years later, it's still going. And okay, I was very nervous when I pressed that first button to go live. But, if you don't try, you don't know. And as you say, it's not so much about whether you actually achieve it. It's about getting past that first hurdle of saying, well, I'm going to give it a try, rather than saying I couldn't possibly do that.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. So let's talk, Anne, Sue, excuse me, about because Anne was the last gal that became reinvented herself. Let's talk about the importance of health. And I have right below my desk uh, two different sets of weights, because
Mm,
weight resistance is so important as we age as women. We don't typically think of weights because we're like, well, we don't want to really have bulging muscles. Nonsense.
mm,
That's really not going to happen. And yet that's so important to be eating and drinking, hydrating water for our energy, to move daily, take the stairs, especially on a cruise ship. I've been on like 2 cruises in the last couple months, and I'm taking the stairs, and little things, yoga, dancing, whatever it is. I invite everyone to move more than you did yesterday and the day before, so
mm,
that we can keep up. We can keep our balance and actually, be in a bowling league if that suits us, or get in and out of our car without pain, because you just ratchet back. If it's painful to get in and out of your car, how many times are you going to get in your car and drive someplace? Probably not.
mm, mm,
So, so we reduce it back to, let's be as preventative as possible. Let's keep ourselves in great shape. Maybe regain some of that, which we had, let go. Maybe we gained some weight in COVID and now we've dropped it, right? Or now we're looking to drop it. So make a plan and do it. And then I'm all about us being intentional, Sue, about our goals. Now, this really requires us taking this financial inventory first, right? And some people
mm,
are a little allergic to that. Like, some people never open their envelopes and they don't have any idea, like your friend, like completely in the dark, if you will. So I am inviting us to take a financial inventory. I lead people through this. I have a little courses that are very inexpensive. They're very, very step by step, but it's very empowering. And the comment from women more often than not is, I'm not as bad off as I feared. Or they'd say, as I thought, right? And I say, yes. And isn't that great? We wish we'd have done that 10 years ago, because good, look at all the things you could have been doing. But we want to take an inventory so we see where we are. That's going to
mm,
tell both assets and then our expenses, right? So that's going to give us a sense of, is there extra margin in that which is coming into the house versus that which is being expended, both fixed and tertiary, because we want to distinguish between the two. Fixed, you got to do it. Tertiary, up for negotiation. So now let's do another mind dump. Where is our priority now? It might be different than 5-10 years ago, which is the routine that we might have perpetuated. So we want to do that. And let's get here. If we are undersaved, or we fear we're undersaved, then we have an opportunity now, which we never had before in this society, in our society, and around the world, to make income in new ways. Like,
mm,
who thought of Uber and Lyft, right? Now you could drive your own car and earn money in Uber and Lyft. Now you can walk dogs. I have a person here in this community, my condo community. She has a dog on leashes of almost like 7 fingers, and she's walking dogs in the morning. I said to her, how much are you making? And she goes, oh, 350 a week, easy. And I was like, oh my heart, a lot of people love animals. So there are a million and one ways. Everybody tap me. I'll give you a whole list of things that you can do to get some extra cash. And what does this do? It gives you energy that, hey, I got this. Okay, I took an analysis, an assessment, an inventory. It wasn't as good as I thought, or it's not as good as what my dreams are going to require. So what to do? Sit here and whine? No, I'm going after it. And then we prioritize our goals, put them on a goal timeline. I have a whole thing around this. And then we have that as our target.
mm. Yeah, I love that idea, because there are plenty of opportunities, to increase your income. Even if you're retired, you can still do things. I know here in Australia there is a bit of a limit on what you can earn, but even just little extra things, just to put that away if you want to travel, or if you want a gym membership or something like that, all those extras that. And I like your idea of doing a bit of an audit, because there's lots of things that we have that we're paying out for that do we really need? Are we
Auto
using
pay,
that gym? Yeah, auto pay. Are we using that gym membership? Are we using that pay
streaming TV.
television? Are we all these little things that keep going out and you don't think about it. You think, oh, it might only be $20 a month or something, and you forget about it. But that $20 a month could be going towards something else. So, it is important that we take that time. Like we've just recently done our budget again for the year and, tweaked it and made changes and things like that. And so, because we want to travel more. So we've sort of said, well, do we really need to be spending our money here when we want to be putting it there? And, it doesn't take long, but it can be overwhelming. So that's where someone like you can come in and provide the assistance. And
Yeah, I'll make
also, I think it's more than that with you. I think it's the support, the encouragement, the vibrancy that you have, the excitement that you can sort of get people feeling about their future rather than thinking, oh, I can't do anything because I can't afford it.
Yes, yes. And Sue, with the consolidated airlines and cruises and everything, and Costco, we have Costco in the United States. Do you have Costco?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So Costco has a whole travel division. Like I haven't just truth here. I haven't rented a car from anyone but Costco in the last like 8, 9 years.
Mm,
It's like tons cheaper. They give you like 4 choices, bada bing, bada bang. So
yeah.
Costco, and then look under last minute travel. Cruises, you can pick up a cruise if you're able to up and go. And many of us and many retired people are. You can get a cruise for like less than it costs you to feed yourself in a day-to-day basis, like a couple $100 a day, and you're going to cruise around someplace and have 24-hour buffets, which is why you want to take the stairs. But cruising is a completely discountable kind of a vacation, or you can get in
Yes.
a car. You can rent one of those campers. I did that with friends. It was amazing. We all were bunking in different parts of that truck, that like camper thing. It was, I wouldn't want to do it for long term, but there it was, a long weekend, and we saw Yosemite and we laughed. And I mean, you can do whatever you put your mind to. Now, here's another thing. Why don't you join a meetup group? We have meetups here, and you just go
Mm,
online, little groups, whatever it is, photography. You can walk, go in and tour the closest city to you, and you're going to meet people of like mind, right? People that are interested
mm,
in archaeology or uh, oh, what is it called? Building construction. I'm missing the name, but whatever, or the arts. You're going to meet people that are interested in things like you are interested in, and so
mm,
then
mm,
you're gonna, like, over the glass of wine or the soda or whatever you're drinking, you're gonna say, "Hey, where have you been lately? Of all the trips you've taken in your whole life, what was your favorite?" That's a great question to start with,
it
right?
is.
And people say, "Oh my God, the Galapagos, oh, I scuba the Great Barrier Reef, whatever it is." This gives you more input for your decision making, process, that, to your point, you and your partner have done recently. And this gives you the control, I think. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but you're behind your own steering wheel to align your spending with your values. How sweet.
Mm, mm, mm. Yes, exactly. And I want to just go back to something that you said, up and go. And that's a mindset that perhaps we don't, even I find it difficult to realize that yes, we are in that situation where we can just up and go at any time, within reason. So I think we need to change our mindset as well, because once we retire, we're still probably working in our mind about being in the career and the mindset of the 9 to 5 and all those sort of restrictions, whereas we've really only got ourselves placing restrictions now, and most of us can up and go, which brings me to another point of we might be able to up and go, but we don't always have the courage to try new things or to move down that path. So what are your thoughts on how we can find that courage to try new experiences.
It's a perfect question, and it really does hold some women back, and it need not. So call the person that's organizing it and say, listen, I'm traveling by myself. Is there another person that's traveling by themselves? Do you have a whole bunch of people that are traveling by themselves? Oh, yeah, 40% of our people are single. Like, oh, okay, then I'm not going to be alone, right? And then you can typically get those names ahead of time, ping them back and forth, and see if you have stuff in common to befriend them. And this is a very straightforward question. There are many groups on the net that particularly address solo travelers. Then like everybody on the trip is a solo traveler. So now you're right in the swim of things. You're right, Sue. This was not typically available in the past. It is so prevalent now that there will be no problem finding another person. Now get the courage. The courage is coming about, go ahead and research where the trip is going, right? And you see all those pictures and you get that mindset, because I'm a very visual person. You get that, oh my, that waterfall, that cliff, that short little hike that's not going to kill my knees, whatever it is. And then you start to imagine, I could do that. Oh, that is so beautiful. I want to go and photograph that, right? So you get in your mind, you have an agenda, and you are going to experience this not just on paper, not just on the screen. And it gets you excited about it. And if it doesn't get you excited, then Google a different destination and find out pictures of that. Or like talk to your friends on social or in person. Hey, you guys, has anybody been to Iceland? And then people will come back and say, oh, the best trip of my life, right? And so this kind of communication is always helpful because people are very eager to share their great experiences and their not so great. So avoid the not so great, follow the great.
And I mean, finding the courage to try new things with anything, it might not necessarily be travel, but it could be learning something new or something that you've always wanted to do, but you think, you're holding yourself back. And that's really the main thing, isn't it? We just limit ourselves with what we can do rather than having an open mind and seeing what we are capable of.
Right. I have a little story. I was about, I don't know, I was in high school and my friends were traveling across the country. I was in Western Pennsylvania to California. They were missionaries and they were going to raise money once they get to California. And like the night before I was with them and they said, why don't you, I said, oh, California, I would love to go there. Right. I was raised on a farm. Right. And they're like, come on. And I was like, oh, I can't do it. The farm and in the summer and there's so much work. So they go and the next morning and they're halfway across Ohio, whatever. And I'm in the kitchen with my mother doing the dishes. And I said, well, my friends asked me to go to California with them yesterday. And she turned around and she said, well, why didn't you go? I thought I was going to die. What? Why didn't I go? And she says, oh, that's how I went to California. My friends asked me the night before to drive with them. So you never know. Like that happened to be my mother who was, in control of me. I was a teenager, but we're in control of ourselves. So why don't we imagine us being the parent and then us being the next generation and imagining the little girl inside that's really looking for an adventure. And that might give us this kind of permission, if you will, landscape that we hadn't had before.
Yes, I like that idea because if you were the parent, you're more likely to say, yes, go for it. And so, you know, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
Um, Now, I want to bring up something else that I saw on, it might have been your media or on your website or somewhere, and it says plan a return on life as well as your investments. And I love that because, yes, we're always thinking about the ROI, return on our investment, but what about our investment in our life and our return on that? So, can we talk a little bit about that?
I'm so glad you brought that up because as a financial planner, very few financial planners really invite people, only the only fiduciary planners invite people to use their money to live their legacy, not just leave their legacy, right? And so I did just that. 42 years I was in practice, and the second fiduciary fee only became available, I switched to it. And I did that for the last 22 years. So I was looking at a person's whole financial situation and aligning it with their goals and saying, okay, you can afford to take this trip and first class without sacrificing your lifetime income? That's the answer that people need, because they're saying, oh, well, maybe maybe I won't be able to eat anything but cat food from age 85 to 88. And maybe that's true if they did overspend initially, right? So you want to be dealing not with a commission person. Do not work with a commission person. Their allegiance is not to you. You must ask the question. This is how pedantic it is. If I work with you, will you make a commission, referral fee, kickback, free lunch, wink, whatever, at any time? And if their answer is anything but absolutely not, go and find someone that will. Because, I was dealing with and giving people what was between my ears, which at that point was pretty darn valuable. And we were helping them achieve their goals. Now, I'm going to hold up this book, which I kind of went skedaddling back to say, they find and pick up. I'm a certified grief coach as well. And this is my book. My husband died. Now what? A Widow's Guide to Grief Recovery and Smart Financial Decisions. It's half grief coaching, Sue, and half financial tripwires to avoid. And you know what happens? People get caught in someday aisle. Couples get caught in someday aisle. And then the obituaries come out. And I have often said probably 98% of the people didn't plan on being there yesterday. So if we can avoid having the deferral of all of our dreams, and if we can imagine ourselves now, whatever partnership we're in right now, let's make the best of that. Obviously, assessing our risks and protecting ourselves for the premature death or the old age death of whomever we may be financially dependent upon. And so I am so maniacal about assessing our risks. Like, people talk about finance and financial planning, and then they say, well, Microsoft stock or, IBM or something, No. Let's talk about the risks, because inevitability of time. Let's figure out what could set us back groups of zeros, like a big liability, right? So when we assess and protect ourselves from our risks, that invites us then to use our investments to go ahead and live our dream, whether we're single, partnered, or separated or widowed. I mean, the return on our life is that which is going to feed our souls. And life is really way too short not to be feeding our souls and to be using this stuff, this tool, to do just that. Because that sends, not only does that put a smile on our face and a lift in our step and a complete bursting open of joy and gratitude in our hearts, but it carries down to the next generation. I don't have kids, but my nieces and nephews are watching me. And I want to be like her. So women are kind of like outwardly focused. All right, I'm not taking this trip because I want to leave my kids some money. Guess what? Take the trip. Your kids
Yes,
are going to be happy.
Yes, I had that situation with my in-laws, and they were an old European couple, and they lived till their 90s, but they wouldn't even turn the light on until it got really dark, or they wouldn't put the air conditioning on, or they wouldn't do this or that because they wanted to leave everything to their children and grandchildren. And they didn't really have that quality of life at the end, because they, were so focused on not spending any money that they were prepared to feel uncomfortable. And when you look at it these days, we are all living longer. So by the time our children, or hopefully by the time we pass, our children are well into their adulthood, and the grandchildren are too. So they would be established. So the other thing I think is that most children want you to have a good life. They want their parents to enjoy their life. And so I think that it's important for us to get that balance. Sure, you want to leave them some sort of legacy, but you also want to be not sitting around just waiting to die. You want to be out there living.
Right now, I'm just going to tuck in something. Like, I've had a lot of women come to me, and they come and they say, my son, and it's almost always a son, unfortunately, my son, Johnny, asked me for another loan. Well, I know full well that he's already asked her for a lot of loans and he never paid them back. And so I say, well, a loan or a gift? And then she said, well, a loan. So has he paid any of the previous loans back, no matter that you had a written agreement? No. Okay. So here's what you're going to say to Johnny. Johnny, I've started a relationship with a financial coach, and she is so intent on me getting control of my money so that I don't have to figure out which kid I'm going to have to live with. And she is inviting me to be very, very centric on investing for myself and in the right vehicles that have a chance, at least from the historical returns, to beat inflation and taxes, like equities, not just bonds, in order that my financial future is secure. And based upon that, she basically is telling me, I need to keep these assets in my name and have them grow. And I love you just the same. I can't do it again. She comes back in 2 weeks. How did Johnny get the money someplace else? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, of course he did. Because it's the course of least resistance for him to ask mom, who's done it 83 times, to do it again. And until she says no, then he's going to not develop himself. Right. So that is always a great lesson. So I give them the vernacular, the little excuse, the little pink slip, right, from the teacher, right? Tell him I'm working with the coach, because Johnny doesn't want to take her in when she's old. No, he does not. So I just think it's kind of fun. That's kind of one thing that I do that's kind of fun.
Yes, yes, because I know as a parent you do have that, oh, I really want to help them, but so that's a good way to go about it. And as you say, once you do say no, they will find an alternative anyway if they really want it badly enough. So that's that. Now, look, we are coming towards the end of the conversation, not yet, but we are moving there. Just a couple of things I want to bring up, and then if there's anything that you would like to mention, we can do that as well. You're igniting a revolution, as and which I love, not slowing down, just getting started, which aligns with what I think as well. And we talked about the 5 components of wealth, but I just wondered if you could just mention those again, because I think that's important. We always think about wealth as money. Now, I'm a personal trainer and group fitness instructor, so I always think of health as a wealth as well. But if we can just do those 5, just briefly mention those again, so that we can focus on that, and also just a little bit about the retreat, what you do. So just those couple of things.
Well, thanks so much, Sue. Yes, physical, mental, relational, spiritual, whatever grounds you. I'm not talking religion, spiritual, whatever grounds you, and then financial. And so I'll dovetail into the retreat. Our retreats are always with the umbrella title, Wealth and Wellness. So this retreat in Southern California, San Diego, California, the best weather in the United States of America, almost always sunny and balmy and right on the ocean. March 21st through 26th. I'll give you the website. wecandoitwomen.com/retreats. We're going to start the morning with either a beach walk or Qigong, which is a wonderful experience of centering and being intentional about ourselves and our health and our breathing, etc. And then I'm going to give wealth workshops that actually convey that which I know about, which is creating money. How can we create money? So we just got back from France in October. We did that. I got the laptop out. Everybody got their laptops or phones out and set up accounts for themselves and started saving systematically. And we're now in a WhatsApp group, and everybody's saying, oh, the market's going down. It's really bad. And I'm like, no, it's not really bad, because we're buying at cheaper prices. And they're like, oh yeah, that's right. And so it's this collaborative experience where everybody comes in knowing something about money. Of course, I have no idea what that is. And yet I appeal over the time, like, you're going to rub elbows with me 5 days, for goodness sake. I have the opportunity to ask a person who typically has made, $20,000 to $45,000 per client in my career doing this. So yeah, I have the ability, I know how to do it, to get you on the track of making money. And for some women, it's like a novice experience. They haven't succeeded in doing that. And boy, that everybody just walks out of there like so much higher and so much prouder. And they have then a mission. They're on a mission. They're on fire. And they know they can tap back into me and ask the question, because that's a serious concern. Where do women get our questions answered, Sue? It's very, very difficult if you're being bombarded by a commission person, because they're just going to say buy life insurance and buy an annuity. I almost guarantee you neither one of them fit your bill and are going to cost you a whole lot of money. So we always want to know where the safe space is. We can vet our questions. Come on over to We Can Do It Women Facebook group. We'll vet all the questions in the world. Yes, we will.
And that's the other thing. I will be putting all the links into the show notes, as I always do, so people can find you. But having that group, and I was just thinking, having the retreat, you're getting your health as well, but you are having time to focus on yourself, your health and well-being, but also focusing on finances, and having someone like yourself and probably others in the group that you can ask questions of, and it's not quite so overwhelming. Whereas if you're trying to do it yourself, you sit down and you go, oh, this is just all too hard, I won't worry. So I think that's a great thing about the retreat as well. It's sort of just taking you out of the world for a little while into a beautiful place, and just giving you time to focus on yourself and what your needs are.
Yeah, sunset sail on a catamaran. Then each night we're gathering together for wisdom circles, right? Because we're gonna,
I love it.
we're going to
Yeah.
share on the catamaran net. I mean, we're going to share when we're on our e-bike tour looking at the ocean. So when we come together at night, we kind of put a seal on whatever we learned for that day, or put the accentuation of the explanation point on it. But let me highlight a couple people that just started late in life that almost everybody knows. Julia Child, how about that? Worked in intelligence during World War II. She didn't publish her first cookbook until 50. She was 69 when her TV career took off. Grandma Moses, an artist, started painting at 78. She couldn't do her embroidery because of arthritis, and her artwork became folk art lore, and she continued painting into her 90s. Vera Wang didn't start her own brand until 60. Diana Nyad tried to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage at age 20, but she failed. And when did she do it? At age 64. Yes, she did. And so there are hundreds of others that have gone before us. We can do it, women. Yes, we can.
Yeah, I love that. So that leads me to my last question, which is one that I ask all of my guests. And that is, what does being a woman living well mean to you?
Mixing my empath personality with my mental acuity, particularly around money, which for most women is not their first language, and melding in a way that I'm a scout. I've gone ahead and I'm saying, you guys, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Come on. And so this teaching aspect that I am leveraging, my life, and I'm 68 myself. So leveraging my wisdom, and it's going to carry on to all these women that grab one or two things, and then they start on their compounding journey. I was going to throw in a financial term. They start on their journey, if you will, towards the empowerment that is there for the taking. And yet I cannot blame any woman that maybe made a financial misstep and is scared to death since then. Now you got a person here that's going to talk about, use analogies and talk about spices in your cabinet and squirrels and everything else to bring this home so that you get it and you understand that the power is yours, yet you want to step by step get introduced to it in a friendly, almost fun way. Well, definitely a fun way, so that you can expand your horizons. I mean, just by a multiple.
I love that. And I'm just going to close with another sentence that I found on your website, or what your thoughts are, is that later years can be our most beautiful and fulfilling. And I totally agree with that.
I am so interested in us embracing the wisdom that mature women, which I call 60 and wiser.
Yeah, I like that, 60 and
have.
wiser.
Yeah.
And I agree with that, 60 and wiser. It took me till my 60s to be wise. I don't know if I still am, but anyway. But look, Deborah, It's been so lovely having you join me for our chat today, and I thank you for that. And as I said, I'll be putting all that information in the show notes, and I'm sure that for those viewers and listeners, especially in the US, that retreat, you know, if they can't make the March one, I'm sure that you'll be having others. So join the
Glenn,
Facebook group and connect with Debra, and I'm sure that you will have a whole new world open up to you.
that's my aim. Thanks, Sue.
Okay, thank you. Well, Debra was certainly a bundle of energy, wasn't she? And she is really passionate about finances, but not only that, helping women to maintain their vibrancy and visibility at any age, and to help us all to achieve our dreams and our goals. So you heard mention that there was a retreat in March for the listeners. Now, there are regular retreats, so if you miss out on the March one, contact Debra and she will give you all the details, but perhaps join her Facebook group. All the links are in the show notes. Well, that's it for another episode, which I hope you've enjoyed, and I hope that you'll share it with a friend who will no doubt benefit from listening to what Debra had to say. Remember the five components of wealth. It's just not money: physical, mental, relational, spiritual, and financial. So that's it. So until next time, I want you to remember to live well, enjoy life, and most of all, be a woman living life your way. Bye for now.